Yo, what's up everyone? Welcome back, Jamie here today. I'm going to talk about Jigsaw, which was released in 2017. 7-year gap between Saw 3D, new writers and directors, and basically, well, it's not really a reboot, but the only returning character is John Kramer. Everyone else is gone pretty much, and it takes place 10 years after his death. And, you know, there's a lot of mixed feelings about this film. Some people like it, some people hate it. Let's get into my thoughts about it. It starts with the police chasing someone who's called Edgar onto like this rooftop, and he has like a trigger inside his hand, and he's like, oh, I need to talk to Halloran. So they bring Halloran in, who's like, you know, one of the lead detectives. And it's like, the game's about to begin, and they all got guns in, and like, you know, just drop the trigger because they don't know what it's going to do. And he end up, I think he pulls the trigger, and it's like the game's begun, and then they all start shooting. And we cut to this room with 5 people in there with buckets on their head, and they're basically getting pulled into the blades, and we hear John's voice, and he's like, you've got to give a sacrifice of blood to become free. One of them doesn't wake up in time though, and he dies. Apparently he gets pulled right into the saws. From there, there's a body found in the public, like hanging from a bridge, and we get introduced to Logan, who's playing with his daughter, and he's sort of one of the main characters. He's like a forensic expert in a way. He gets called in to look at a body, and then from there we get introduced to Eleanor as well, who works with him, and she's basically like Amanda 2.0 really. They're analysing the body, and most of the head's gone when they take the bucket off with these lasers, and they see it as a jigsaw piece cut, and they're like, oh, is this John Kramer? And they mention that he's been dead for 10 years and it's probably another copycat. I gotta say, this film's pacing, like, it's pretty fast paced, to be honest. Like, it's just boom 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 one after another really. There's not much dragging it out. They find a USB inside the guy's neck and they plug it into the computer, and John Kramer's voice is on the tape. So back at the barn where the main game's taking place, Billy comes strolling in with glowing red eyes and a Play Me tape, and already you're like, well, Billy clearly got an upgrade, didn't they? Like, you're looking at the location as well, you're like, this seems pretty high tech, this. There's a woman with him who stole a purse, and there's 3 needles, and she's got to guess which is the right number that she stole the change from, because basically she's a purse snatcher. And she stole this woman's purse, and she had asthma, and she ended up dying, and she stole, like, what was it, $3.53 or something like that. I don't know, it's kind of stupid, but yeah, they've got 3 needles. They're all starting to hung up by these chains, and they've got to stab her with the right needle. But eventually this guy Ryan, he just gets all 3 of them, and he just stabs her with all 3 of them, so they all get loose. Back inside the lab, and they realise that the voice matches John Kramer, and Logan brings up that Halloran's letting all these bad guys go, and he never gets around to arresting them. So, you know, planting a little bit of seeds right there. And he also says, we speak for the dead, which, that line I hate, but we'll get to that later on. Back at the barn, we discuss like the backstories, and we've learned that Anna, the girl there, her baby was accidentally killed. They all start trying to get out, like there's 3 of them left now, and Ryan gets his foot stuck, like it goes underneath, and all these wires just grab hold of his leg. Another body found at the hospital, and it's all like acid, like just like how that girl died, and Logan recognizes the acid. Halloran finds out that Logan was a prisoner of war, which is why he knows about the acid. And this is the bit where it starts getting stupid. So Mitch and Anna, the 2 other people, get stuck inside this silo, right? And there's a HD screen in there. Billy comes on with his glowing red eyes, and like I said, you're like, whoa, this all got an upgrade. Like, this whole location, Billy, the HD screens, like, what's going on here? Like, this is so high budget. But let's just get into it now. This whole thing takes place inside the past, before any of the other games of the entire Saw series. So how does that make any sense? Like, why has John got these like massive HD screens, glowing red eyes, and Billy and all these like high-tech traps? Did he spend his budget after this, and he's like, oh, you know what, I need to cut this down a little bit. Let's go back to like Amanda's type game and Cecil and stuff. It's a major plot hole when you think about it, because like that's the only way you can explain it really. He used all this money, and he's like, I have to cut down on it. Like the HD screen, the HD wasn't even around in 2003, first of all. I think John's like actually watching him live, and like, you know, this isn't a recording, because he mentioned Ryan's name and he's the one who's stuck. And basically Ryan has to let go of his leg to save them. They're inside the silo, and all these weapons start coming down. And I can just picture John sat at the top, just like push these weapons down one by one. Back with the main story, we learn that Eleanor is like a member of this Jigsaw Rules website, which is basically like House of Jigsaw inside the film, where all the fans of John and you just start uploading images and information and stuff. They've been tracking her saying she's been downloading some weird shit. And this is an interesting idea, hopefully expanding it inside the future, because we've always said, like, why don't they do a cult? you know, all these people taking the message of John and applying it and stuff. And it would make sense in a way if you think about it. So they match the blood sample, and it's a match for John Kramer's blood. So they're all like, wait, what? He's alive? What's going on? Ryan eventually lets go of his leg and the release, but his leg is just cut and it's completely gone, man. Dr. Gordon 2.0, bleeding out. Eleanor takes Logan to a studio, and this is what I'm talking about. She's got all the traps from the games, like the reverse bear trap, the collar from number 3, the gun, everything. Like, she's got all of it. Logan's there looking at the reverse bear trap. And she also got this other one. She's like, oh, this is one what was made and it wasn't used, and it was like one of the originals, and it's like this weird spiral thing, like with all these red things in the middle going down, which we're going to find out about in a minute. And she mentions that she bought it online, but who did she buy it online from? That's what I'm wondering. Halloran gets a call and is like, he's in a fucking coma. How does he just disappear? Because Edgar, the guy from the beginning on the rooftop, he's been inside a coma at the hospital, but now his body's gone missing. So they dig up John's graves to decide once and for all, like, you know, we're gonna prove this guy's dead. They open the coffin and it's Edgar's body. John's body's gone. So, like, what the fuck? It's been 10 years. Where's his body gone? First of all, wouldn't it be all decomposed? We'll never find out this. I don't know where it's gone. What they're gonna do with it, no idea. So it's time for Mitch's game. He finds a tape, and it's revealed that he sold a faulty bike to a person who was John's nephew. He knew that this bike was faulty and he sold it anyway, and he ended up dying from it because the brakes didn't work. So now Mitch has to go inside that trap that I talked about, like the spiral thing. There's a brake at the bottom and he has to pull that, but this is spinning really fast. If he hits any of it, he's gonna get cut to fuck. And that's pretty much what happens. He gets sliced to fuck and he's dead. So the next day the police raid Eleanor's studio and they find a body all sliced up, which we think is Mitch's. And they also find the hacksaw, like I said, from Saw 1 with candles there. So it seems like sort of like an altar, like, you know, people think this confirms that Hoffman is dead because at the end of the last one he was tied up inside the bathroom. But what if he wasn't? What if Eleanor somehow found him and that's why she keeps the saw as a reminder and Hoffman's still out there? Because they don't mention Hoffman at all inside this film. You only mention John, and it's been 10 years. At the end of Saw 3D, he was on the news, everyone knew it was Hoffman. So it's a loose end which I really hope we get the answer to, because I love Hoffman. I don't really want Hoffman back. I've also got a video explaining why Hoffman is still alive if you want to check that out. So Logan starts framing Halloran as the suspect, and he's also being investigated by Internal Affairs, so they're onto him as well. Eleanor brings up Jill Tuck's farm and mentioning like how she's been running the blood samples, so they go and look for it, and Halloran follows them there. And that's the only mention of Jill we get inside this film. We don't see her or anything. It's just a mention that, oh, our family had this farm. And, you know, well, that's what I don't get. Why didn't the police check that farm out? Like in Saw 4 when Strom's interrogating Jill. Wouldn't he have checked like every single property like she was involved in or something like that? I don't know. Here's where we get to the really good part of the game. Anna and Ryan wake up inside this room and John is revealed to be in there with them. They're both chained up by the ankle. And at first you're like, wait a minute, what? John's alive? Like when I first saw this film, I thought maybe it was doing like a requel, you know, like a sequel to the original. The rest of them don't count or anything like that. But no, eventually this is revealed to be a flashback. But Anna recognizes John because they used to be neighbors, and John knows what happened to Anna's baby. She put it on the bed while her husband was sleeping, and he accidentally rolls over and kills it. He gets locked up for it and eventually kills himself. So, you know, fuck Anna, she's a really bad person. John gives him a shotgun and a bullet, and he's like, this is your key to freedom. And he's talking about how it's all like backwards and stuff like that, and he just puts it in the middle of the room and he leaves, and it's got this room's got a door just like the original. Like some of this, I understand why they put it in, but at the same time it's like, come on man. And he slams the door just like the original. Back at the barn, Halloran and Logan get into like a fight and Eleanor runs away. So Anna grabs the gun and she shoots Ryan, but instead of shooting Ryan, the bullet goes backwards straight into her and she's dead. And the key to get out was inside the bullet all along, like John said. So the game was, don't shoot each other, use the bullet to get out. But Anna being selfish, she shot herself. And then Ryan's left in there to bleed out and die, just like the original. So Halloran and Logan both wake up with this device around their neck, and John's voice starts playing through the speaker, and he tells them to confess. And Halloran's like, how are you even alive? I gotta admit, Halloran does have some funny lines inside this film. He's definitely better than the detective in the last film, Gibson. Holy shit. Logan admits that he messed up John's x-ray and he put the wrong name. You know, if that would have happened sooner, John might have got the treatment that he needed. But lasers come out of the collar and they kill him, and all his blood just goes all over the place and he falls on the floor. And then it's Halloran's turn, and Halloran's like, oh, you know, I put people away and they killed people and I messed up and all this. And he notices that, he's like, I confess. And he looks up and he sees that there's no burnt marks on Logan's side. And then Logan stands up with all his fake blood around, and he's recorded the whole thing. And then this is where we get like Hellzep starts playing. And I gotta say, like, this is a little too much of exposition for me. Logan just keeps talking and talking. Like, usually it's on a tape, innit? But this is just Logan telling Halloran everything. He reveals that the game took place 10 years ago and he was a part of it. He was the guy who fell asleep in the beginning. And John, like, came in afterwards and helped sew him up and is like, you know, he learned, I don't think this guy should be tested for a normal mistake. Like, you know, he didn't hurt anyone, he didn't kill anyone, really. He just technically made a mistake, changed the name by accident. So from there, John and Logan's the first apprentice, basically, of the entire thing, before Gordon, before Hoffman, before Amanda. I mean, people complain about that, and I can see why. It's like, every single time it's like, oh, well, this guy was an accomplice, a secret accomplice. And it's like, eventually, what? But I do like this line. He's like to Halloran, you have a choice, scream or don't. Eleanor runs outside to a car and she has this like confused look on her face. Like, I don't know if it's she recognizes the person or what, I don't know, but she does seem confused. We see that Logan and John built the reverse bear trap together after Logan came back from the war. But eventually at the end, he ends up killing Halloran with the lasers. They all go into his face and he just his face comes apart like a plant, like some Resident Evil Demogorgon type shit. I don't know, man. It's full CGI. I mean, it looks cool, yeah, but it's completely CGI and it takes me out of it. It's like, this isn't a Saw film. What the fuck is this? And then you get the line, I speak for the dead, and he closes the door. No game over. That's Logan's catchphrase, I speak for the dead. So overall, a Jigsaw, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. Like, it's decent traps and characters. Kramer's barely in it, which is a bad thing. I do like Eleanor, and Logan's not bad. It's much better than Saw 3D for me. And like I said, it's fast paced. It just goes boom, boom, boom. It goes by pretty quick. Hoffman, man. Hoffman, you can't beat Hoffman. And I really want to see what happens with Hoffman and Gordon. I hope we get that continued. But at the same time, it's like, oh, you have to watch 7 films, don't you? And, you know, attention spans of audiences, they can't even watch 2 films anymore. That's why sequels never really last and franchises don't anymore. But yeah, let me know your thoughts and opinions about Jigsaw. Make sure you like and subscribe. Next week we'll talk about Spiral from the Book of Saw, which is a complete spin-off. John Kramer's not even in it at all, apart from a photo. And then after that, we're going to rank the entire series from worst to best, and make sure you check out for that. Until next time, peace out in a bit.